There's a question that a lot of business owners hear, and it's meant to inspire us and help inform the way that we create our businesses and curate our marketing. But I've seen it cause way more stress than it's worth. And it is the know your why. And frankly, it's been so overdone to the point where what's even left of it is not at all helpful. What started as this big proverbial mission to bring people into your world has been spun a million different ways by a million different marketers, speakers, coaches, business builders. And it always comes back to these big intangible ideas that you can't really root into. And yeah, obviously your values, mission, your purpose for being, they are all so important. But they're also so lofty that they can lead to overwhelm and overcomplication. Because when you're actually sitting at your desk on a random Tuesday with 17 tabs open and you're either trying to figure out like what exactly you should focus on next, or your team's waiting for you when it comes to answers or directions they need, trying to root into this big lofty thing will oftentimes make you feel more lost and further away from clarity than what it was intended to give you. And I know that because I felt it so many times. It's those moments when the business gets hard and someone tries to re-ground you and re-inspire you and reroute into your like, well, what's your why? And in those moments, I would get so hard on myself for not having some beautifully articulated, deeply moving reason for building this agency. And then I'd take it a step further, spiral even further and be like, well, maybe I'm just a superficial person who started her company because she wanted to make more money than a corporate job could give her, which is also true. And no shame in that game. But when you're already feeling overwhelmed and like you're not doing things right, it's easy to then spiral into this like, well, okay, maybe my why isn't enough, or the business I'm building isn't enough, or maybe I'm just missing something that everyone else has figured out. But here's what I want you to really feel. That pressure is a trap. And that sophisticated philosophical version of find your why is what sets that trap. So what I've been focused on in my business and have been helping my clients focus on in theirs is intentionally more simple. Because when I think back to all the coolest clients and brands I've had the privilege to work with over the years, so many of them have been mission-based, heart-led products, brands, what have you, that I do feel so fortunate to be a part of. But then here's what happens in practice. The businesses get loud, their to-do lists get long, the options of what they can do just keep multiplying, and the outside noise becomes deafening. So suddenly, even the most clear-headed, capable founders can't really see straight anymore. And what I've noticed is the ones who are able to come back to themselves the fastest aren't necessarily the ones with the most sophisticated strategy, why, ethos, all of that. They're the ones who have the simplest answer to, what is this actually for? What are we building? It's not this deep philosophical thing, not a 3-paragraph brand purpose statement or a beautifully crafted ethos on your website. It's one line, genuinely simple. And it's oftentimes the kind that feels too obvious and silly to say out loud. So for example, I have a client who's building a personal hygiene kit for young boys, and there is real depth behind it. It's backed by a leading child psychologist. Its mission goes way deeper than the product itself. And because of that, we can find ourselves going in circles about product versus mission, the brand versus the movement. And we could drive ourselves crazy being like, what is the ratio we lead with when it comes to our marketing? But every single time we feel ourselves floating away from what matters, we're able to come back to this. She's building a product that she knows is missing from the market. That's it. And it cuts through the noise every single time. And then for me personally, I've spent a lot of time questioning how I want to evolve the agency as the world keeps changing. And as I mentioned, I used to be really hard on myself for not having some poignant, beautifully articulated why. So last week, I actually gave myself a few ways to step away from the business and just think for a moment. And what I came back to was almost embarrassingly simple. And it's that I just love breathing life into people's crazy but insanely cool ideas and creating experiences that make people want to be a part of those ideas. So said even more simply, I just help organize people's big dreams into brands and marketing plans. That's it. And that's enough. And then when I look at some of my fun dream client work I've been sharing on social, lately, the Creek Rat and Giggly Squad examples have been performing really well. And the same thing is true for both of them, even though they're so different in what they do. So Giggly Squad exists to give women a safe, fun, come as you are space where we can all come together, make light of everything we are all dealing with, and find real community in that. And then Creek Rat exists to give people a taste of the clothing that Robert and Lily grew up with because it's genuinely special to them. So both of these things, different products, different audiences, wildly different revenue streams, but underneath it all, each of them has a very super simple truth of what they do and what they're doing it for. So here's what I want to invite you to take away from all of this. Your why isn't this big brand strategy exercise. It's not something you have to figure out once in a workshop and frame on your wall and then make sure that you're strategically and intentionally mapping every single marketing and business and brand touch point back to it. It should actually be a nervous system refresh for your business. It should be the thing you come back to when everything else feels heavy and loud and like you literally cannot think straight, because it's going to help cut through the noise when decisions feel impossible. And that noise is frankly winning over whatever you're trying to think of and do in your mind and in your business. And I suggest that it is so simple that it almost feels too obvious, because that is the piece that actually makes it work. So in a world that keeps getting louder, I invite you to find your stupidly simple why. Not the impressive one, not the one that would look good in your bio, the truest one to you. And the one that's probably already sitting somewhere in the back of your mind feeling like it's too small to even count, because it's not too small. It's actually the whole thing. And I promise you that that's what quiets both the outside and your inside noise faster than almost anything else you could do right now. And when the noise gets loud enough that you can't find your own answer, that's exactly what I'm here for. So help clients strip it back down to what's real, what matters, what to actually focus on. So the rest gets a lot easier to carry. But whether it's on your own or with me, you've got this. You don't have to figure it out alone.